Good morning, good evening, and good night, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're watching from, and welcome to episode 6 of The Woman's Journey. My name is Evelyn McAleer, spiritual mentor, author of A Life You Want and Effortless, and speaker. And today I have the youngest woman with me on my interview. I want to welcome today a beautiful young lady who has a wonderful story to tell, and I hope to enlighten parents and perhaps young ladies and young gentlemen that have or are experiencing what she has came through herself. So without further ado, I want to introduce from County Monaghan, young Tara Fanning. Tara, you are most welcome today.
Thanks very much for having me, Evelyn. It's an honour to be interviewed by you today. It's brilliant.
Good girl, Tara. I had to get the name right, Tara Fanning, because on Facebook you're... What is your Facebook name?
Farah Tanning. It's actually my uncle. He's here today. He used to always call me Farah Tanning, and whenever I was going to my school place, and we changed it up so then the students couldn't be looking you up on Facebook, so that's the reason for the Farah Tanning.
Tara is a young lady of 19 years of age. She is a student teacher in her second year studying for this. And what she has experienced, I hope that it will bring some hope and healing to many other people. Tara lost her father 2 years ago. His name's Peter, but I do believe Peter is with us today, and I hope that he's standing with Tara and to bring her light forth. And I want to shift over to Tara now to ask her, as a young lady, to losing her father, if there's anything that she has experienced, what she's came through herself, that may help others that have recently come into bereavement or are having difficulty coming through the loss of a parent. So Tara, over to you.
Well, I suppose now whenever we hear, there seems to be an awful lot of people, unfortunately, locally have lost parents since Daddy has died. And me and my sister Kira were just saying that as soon as you hear, you just go right back to the 12th of March 2018, and you know your whole world just stops for momentarily, just thinking about what that poor family's going through at that moment. Like their whole world has been turned upside down. That's what it feels like to them, I suppose. But and I suppose you feel at that moment in time, you feel so hard done by. You feel that the world is just out to get you, and everything's why me, and why other people get to keep their father, their mother, or whatever. And it's a very challenging time for your head. Like you feel, why me? You feel very hard done by. But I suppose that's just all part of the grief process, and there's not much you can do about thoughts like that. But it's very important to realise, I suppose, that we always talk to Daddy like he's here. We always be having conversations with him like he's about, and asking him different things and his advice and everything. So he was a great man for wee jobs and things. So we're always saying, what do we do, Daddy, now what? And I suppose me too. Daddy was a great man for the style. He loved clothes, he loved shoes, and I suppose that's where I get it from. And I suppose that's a lovely thing, that I always connect with Daddy on that level whenever I'm out shopping or whatever. But anyway, that's going off the point. But it's definitely so important to try and find that wee thing that you can talk to them about all the time and get their advice, and realise that they're so here with you all the time.
You see, that is beautiful. And that's the thing, what we have experienced in our house too, is talk as though I'm still there. When you think of me, think of the good times. And I do believe it does help people. And yes, that grieving, that anger, why me? Why does other people get to keep their daddy? And those things that you've had to experience when your daddy's not there, and those things that you will have to experience in times to come when your father is absent from it. But that's beautiful, that to feel that his presence, even though he's physically not there, that you feel him. And I do believe that he's here with you today as well.
Definitely.
3 months later, Tara's mother was diagnosed then with breast cancer, which was another hard hit for the family, and the fear of yet again losing another parent. Tara, what were you going through at that stage for yourselves?
What I suppose is Mommy told me we were told, you know, if you don't hear within 3 days, you're all right. 3 days is the appointment. So we're waiting these 3 days, and we sat down the night before, and I says, well, Mommy, if you don't hear tomorrow, you're the very best. Everything will be all right. And anyway, unfortunately, Mommy heard the next morning, and I was at work, and she came to pick me up that evening, and I actually felt like the world was ending. I remember hitting my head back of the seat, and I thought, oh my God, not again. It really did feel like at that point the world was out to get me. There was no hope at that point. You know, we didn't know what way the cancer was. You know, it was very, very early days. But it definitely felt like the world was falling apart. It was the toughest time ever that summer of 2018, definitely so. But thank God Mommy got through it all right. Her cancer was got in the very early stages, and she had 2 lumpectomies done. And I suppose her faith as well. And I always said to myself, Daddy won't let anything happen to Mommy. Daddy won't let God take Mommy as well as him. You know, he'll definitely look after her, whatever else. But definitely through those 3 months, through that year, and I was going into sixth year, which is the final year in the south for doing your leaving cert exams, your final exams. And I completely buried myself into the books. I studied from morning to night. 9 to 9 was the days that I used to do. And I suppose that was my way of coping with it. 'Cause it was the only thing that I could control, was getting to college, was the only thing that I could control that year. We didn't know what was going to happen to Mommy. Daddy was gone, and all we could do was pray to Daddy that Mommy would be all right. But so I buried myself into the books, and I'm sure my friends thought this girl is not wise, because I didn't go out or anything. But I suppose that was my way of coping with it all that year anyway. But definitely felt like the world was totally ending for us, like. But thank God, as I say, Mommy's all right. We got a wee scare again back in June, but it was just precautionary, thank God.
Well, thank you, Tara. And what a brave young girl. I'm sure anybody's watching this, how she can articulate her words and describe her feelings here today for us all. Tara, I want to ask you now, I have done an interview previously with ladies. One had cancer and the other had illnesses as well. And they described that from a mother's point of view, having that. So as the child, as the young woman, is there anything that you could offer in a way of advice to parents, how to deal with your children, your young teens, your children, what to say when you lost a parent, what to say when you're experiencing sickness? Because parents and fear and worry that for their children, how are you getting on? Is there anything that you could offer in a way that perhaps parents are stumped at this stage? What do I say in order to console my children?
Yeah, I suppose a big thing I would say is don't tell them everything's going to be all right, because you don't know if everything's going to be all right. I suppose that's a big thing. Mommy would always say, please God, it'll be all right. But by saying everything's all right, whenever you're in that mindset that everything's going wrong, you can't see it going right. And you just need the support of, okay, please God, it will go all right for us all, you know, like, I suppose it's a big thing too for young people when a parent's sick, because I know what we felt was that if Mommy, God forbid, if Mommy dies, Mommy's gone, but we're the ones that are left. You know, I felt like, and maybe that's a selfish thing to say, I don't know, but I suppose me and Kira, my sister, thought, but what about us? You know, like Mommy and Daddy, we both gone. What about us? You know, at that point. But I suppose Mommy's mindset, she had a very positive mindset. We were so lucky with our family and friends. They scurried around us. They still do. They're unbelievable. But I suppose it was her mindset. She knew she was going to be fine. She used to say to us, God has sent me this cancer to distract us away from Daddy's death and to try and focus on something else. She said, this is just, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. We'll be okay. But, and I suppose that's like with everything, positivity, like think happy, be happy. If you, Mommy believed the cancer was gone, she kept saying to herself, there's no cancer left in me. You know, after the second operation, there's no cancer left in me. And then when it came to the bit, she only needed radiotherapy treatment. which was brilliant. It was a big, huge thing for us because we were trying to work out what we were going to do with regards to mommy and being looked after. And we were talking about, one auntie said, well, you can move in here with us and we'll do a study for you and this, that and the other. And your whole world feels like it's falling apart because you're getting ready. You feel like something's going to happen to mommy, you know, that sort of way. But definitely positive mindset is definitely what got us through that point. Knowing mommy said, I am better. There's no cancer left in me. Definitely that's what drove us on. We knew, we believed in it. You say it so much, you believe it. And as you say, Evelyn, you feel it. Whenever you begin to feel like it's going better, it starts going better.
The beautiful words, the I am better. I am healthy and well. Because another gentleman that I'm very friendly with also too had cancer, and regardless of how he was feeling that day, he kept affirming that I am getting stronger, my body is getting healthy, I'm getting well. That's wonderful. And do you find then, for anyone that is going through bereavement, that not to tiptoe around mentioning people's names, not to tiptoe around in your home, don't mention daddy's name in case it upsets anyone? How important is it that your father's name is spoke about?
We speak about daddy 100 times a day, just like he's here. I suppose I love it when my friends mention daddy and talk about him, like he's still here, because it keeps him alive. You know, I love that when people talk about him, and different neighbours and things will be down and they tell stories about daddy like he's just did it 10 minutes ago, you know, and that's so important because it's keeping their spirit alive. Because you feel him around so much whenever you begin. Like I can feel daddy here today. You can feel him around so much once you begin to speak about him. Definitely, it's so important. Just telling wee bits of yarns and different things like that about him, it's so important.
Wonderful. And
remember the good times.
Sure, this happens to me too, the goose pimples, when you just said that too. This is always a good sign. Always a good sign. Now, Tara, I'm going to now focus on you. You're a lovely lady that is very much into law of attraction.
Yes,
and how
definitely.
our thoughts and what our words and what we believe to be true will manifest and create. And I think this is wonderful, especially when we started so young. And I think it's amazing for younger people now. By the time you get to my age, sure, you'll have it all mastered, you know, you'll have it well sorted. And it's because whenever we were growing up, these are things that we never knew of, we were never told of. And I just think it's amazing now that we bring this all to the younger generation, that you can achieve what you believe, what you feel, what you dream, and make it sure it's your joy. So a wonderful thing that is happening to you. It was to happen this year, but perhaps it wasn't the right time to be the Monaghan Rose and be the Rose of Tralee. And what a beautiful rose you are. So Tara, tell us about this whole Monaghan Rose that you're desiring to be.
Well, I suppose it all happened very all of a sudden. I'd always wanted, like, you know, we in our house, it's the last weekend in August, you know, the Monday and the Tuesday, you'd be sitting down, you have the jammies on, you have the treats out, you know, it's a whole big celebration. You're glued to the telly all night for the Monday and the Tuesday. And I suppose I've always wanted to do it, but I always had this idea, you know, you see all these beautiful girls going up and they're so qualified and they've this, that and other, and they've been to here and they've been to there. And I kind of always thought, well, I haven't got a degree yet, and I haven't been anywhere, like apart from on holidays, I haven't travelled anywhere. But then one day my friend Megan actually tagged me on something on Facebook about the Monaghan Rose. They were looking for people to apply for it. And I kind of thought to myself, gosh, I wonder about that. And I was actually, you know, the week that it was in, I hadn't told you this before, Evelyn, but the week that it was in, I was having an awfully tough week at college. It was the Wednesday, I think, and I had to come home. I just couldn't cope any longer. I couldn't sleep. And I don't know what it was, because it was in January time. And I had it had no connection, no dates connected to daddy or mommy or anything. It was totally out of the blue. And I suppose that's what happens with grief too. You just don't know when it's going to hit you again. But I was having an awfully hard week, and I said, right, I'll just go home. I need to be at home at the minute. And I was going to the doctor the next day because, thank God, our GP, she's such a lovely woman, and she always said to us, come in and chat to me anytime you're feeling overwhelmed or anything, come in and talk to me. And because I had tried several different counsellors and they just hadn't worked out for me. But I went into the GP that morning, and it was Wednesday. And I was chatting to her and I was crying my eyes out, and everything at that point felt really hopeless. I just didn't know what was going to happen. And then I got out to the car and I had a message actually from the Monaghan Rose Centre, or the coordinator, I can't remember, Sonia. And it was asking me would I be interested in going, for they were having a meeting that Friday evening to about the rose selection or whatever, and people were signing up and different things. And I thought, you know what, maybe I'll just go for it. Sure, I'll go to the meeting and I'll see how I get on at that. So me and Megan headed up the road, or Megan and I, even Mum might be saying, headed up the road to Castleblaney to the meeting. And we got out of the car and Megan says, you have to do that, Tara. This was made for you. You have to do it. This would give you such a lift and such something to focus on. And I suppose that's exactly what it did. It just boosted me so much. I just loved it. And I suppose with the way the year has gone, we've only had one meet up with the girls, and such a great group of girls. And we're all, I suppose, that we're all going for the same thing. We're all very similar minded. And I can see the friendships that are going to bloom out of this, as Sonia says, they do every year. But it's brilliant. And unfortunately now this year we didn't get to go ahead. Our selection was supposed to be the 4th of April, but obviously didn't go ahead with the way the whole thing was. And then the festival didn't go ahead either. But all guns ahead for next year, and next March or April till we have our selection.
Well, isn't this perfect? You're getting a trial run at your speaking abilities, young
Yes.
Tara Fanning.
Thanks to you, Evelyn.
Well, you see, everybody, I always say that I meet the right people to share the most beautiful stories, and that's it. It's about sharing people's stories and what you would bring. And listen, my daughter or my sons could think, Mama, you know nothing, but so younger people will relate to younger people.
Yeah,
and that's
definitely.
why it's beautiful for yourself even to share this here. So what took you down the road of law of attraction?
I suppose my mum had left the bank years ago. She worked in the Ulster Bank for 20 years, and I suppose at that point in her life she was very stressed. She had gone through a lot of stress, and she started turning towards the law of attraction and the book The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. I'm sure you've heard of it. And she had read that, and just down through the years she'd always say, different things in relation to it. Don't say that. Always say what you want. Don't say I don't want. Always say, oh, I want so and so, or I want this, instead of I don't not want that, or whatever. And I suppose then just down through the years I got more involved. I read The Secret. I read different books. I had been to another lady, Mo Colton, for healing, and I suppose she's the one that introduced me to your books, which I loved as well. And I love the stories, how they're real people and you can directly relate to thinking that they're actually from about. These people are real. These things have happened so locally, compared to The Secret, where it's happening all over the world. But I suppose what I've took from them books a lot is gratitude and the importance of gratitude. And I suppose every morning, as soon as my feet hit the floor, I say, thank you, universe. Thank you for waking me up. And then I try and say it 6 times before I get dressed in the morning. By the time I get dressed, I want to have said thank you for 6 different things. That's what my aim is every morning. And it changes your whole outlook. You realise, thank you for this. And once you start thanking, thank you for this nice blouse that I bought last week. Thank you for my shoes. Thank you for this job that I'm going to. Thank you for... It just gets endless. You realise how much you have to be grateful for. And once you start thinking about things you have to be thankful for, the more comes into your head about how lucky you are,
Wonderful. Well, that is so refreshing, and I love without no insult, out of the mouth of babes comes the truth. So That is the absolute truth. And I see it a lot. I see it with my daughter. I see it with her friends. Nearly, if you're not talking law of attraction or manifesting, you're kind of the odd one out these days. Whereas a certain age group, it's still classed maybe as a wee bit of fluffy duffy voodoo stuff. But it's beautiful. Tara, I want to say to you, thank you so much for giving me your time today. Somewhere along your line, you have created this, we have manifested this little interview and it's come together. And I really hope that the words that you have delivered today and your beautiful ray of light that shines effortlessly, that it will bring hope to someone else's life. And and give people, young people, that why not go for it? Let's do this here. And for parents that are perhaps going through sickness or illness or the bereavement of a loved one, how they then can talk to their sons or daughter. Tara, would you like to finish us off with a few words of anything?
I suppose the big thing that I'm thinking now, and I can't remember now what book I got it from, could have been yours, but it's why can't I have it all? And that's what I'm living by at the minute, because you can. If you believe that you can have it all, you can have it all.
Beautiful. Everything's only but an experience. In a world of infinite possibilities, what will you choose? Tara Fanning, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching today.